I wasn't always alone. But I am now. Funny how life works. You think you know the people you love. You build a life on trust, on quiet mornings, shared jokes, Sunday pancakes, and "I love you" as before bed. You think that's real. And for a while, it is. Then one day, the whole thing cracks open, and you realize the foundation wasn't built on truth. It was built on lies you were too blind, too trusting to see. My wife's name was Claire. We were together 8 years. Married for 6. We had a little house on the edge of town, a golden retriever named Rusty, and a backyard with a swing set I built even though we never had kids. People said we were the couple who had it all figured out. But they only saw the surface. The truth? Claire was cheating on me. Not once. Not in a moment of weakness. This was planned. Calculated. She'd been seeing her coworker, a guy named Jason, for over a year. They had lunch meetings that turned into afternoons. Hotel rooms. Texts that said things like, "I can't wait to hold you again." And worst of all, she laughed about it. With him. Said I was too quiet, too predictable. Like that made it okay. I found out because I wasn't supposed to be home that day. I'd left my phone charger at the house. Came back around 2 p.m., opened the door, and heard laughter from the bedroom. I didn't even think. I just walked down the hall. And there they were. My wife. Naked. On our bed. With him. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I just stood there, like the world had stopped spinning. They jumped up. Claire screamed. Jason grabbed his pants. I walked out. Got in my truck. Drove to the lake. Sat there for 3 hours, watching the water, wondering how I could have missed it. How could I not have seen? I wasn't blind. I was just trusting. And in this world, trusting people can get you destroyed. When I finally went home, she was crying, begging, saying it was a mistake, that she loved me, that Jason meant nothing. But I'd seen the texts. I'd seen the hotel receipts in her email. I'd seen the way she looked at him, not with guilt, but with excitement. So I left. Moved into a friend's basement. Filed for divorce. And then the real betrayal began. Because when the story got out, people didn't side with me. They said I must have done something wrong. "She wouldn't cheat on you unless there was a reason," my so-called friend Mike told me. "She's been through a lot," her sister said. "You were never around. Always working." Never around. I was the one who made the money. Paid the bills. Fixed the roof when it leaked. Took Rusty to the vet when he was sick. But none of that mattered. All people saw was a woman in tears saying she regretted a moment of weakness. They didn't care about the year of lies. The betrayal. The fact that she'd chosen to hurt me, not once, but over and over. They believed the story that was easier to believe. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't the first time I'd watched people believe a lie just because it was comfortable. It happened to me when I was 12. And I fought it then. Just like I had to fight it now. Let me tell you about that. It was 6th grade when Eli Turner showed up in my class. Tall kid. Broad shoulders. Looked like he played football. Should have been one of the popular ones. But the second he walked in, the whole room went dead quiet. Even Mrs. Hollis, our teacher, turned pale. Like she'd seen a ghost. I was the only one who didn't get it. At lunch, I sat next to him anyway. Didn't think twice. Big mistake, according to everyone else. The whole cafeteria gave me this look. Like I'd done something wrong. Even Eli looked shocked. "You really want to be my friend?" he asked, like the idea blew his mind. I just shrugged. "Yeah, why not?" We spent the whole day laughing, talking, just hanging out. I didn't have any friends back then, so this meant everything to me. I couldn't wait to get home and tell my mom. So I did. "Mom, I made a friend today. His name's Eli." Her face went white. Not just pale, white. Like she'd been punched. "Stay away from that kid," she said, sharp as a knife. "Him and his dad? They're monsters. They beat up his mom. Put her in the hospital." I froze. It didn't make sense. Eli was quiet, yeah. But kind. Not violent. The next morning, Mom drove me to school instead of letting me walk. She marched into the classroom and whispered something to Mrs. Hollis. Whatever she said, the teacher nodded like they were in on a secret. Then, when I tried to sit near Eli in class, Mrs. Hollis moved my seat. Just like that. I glanced over at him. He was staring at his desk, jaw tight. I swear, I thought he was gonna cry. At recess, he stood alone by the fence while everyone else played. And after school, I found out why. Eli's dad pulled up in the pickup line, and the whole place cleared out. Parents grabbed their kids and practically ran to their cars. One mom even told her daughter, "Don't look at him, sweetie." But Eli's dad? He just sat there, head down. Eli climbed in without a word. They treated them like criminals. But something didn't add up. I'd seen Eli's dad pack extra granola bars, just in case some kid forgot lunch money. And Eli? He stayed after school every week to tutor special needs kids. Voluntarily. There was no way these were the same people who'd hurt their own mom. Then came the day I realized who Eli and his father really were. I was walking home, counting the $50 my grandma gave me for my birthday, when 3 eighth graders surrounded me. "Look at the rich boy," the biggest one said, and shoved me to the ground. They grabbed my money, and one of them kicked me in the ribs. I curled up, waiting for more, when suddenly they all scrambled away. Eli's dad was standing there, not touching anyone, just standing. "You okay, kid?" he asked, then helped me up. He walked me home without saying much. When I told Mom what happened, she completely lost it. "He approached you? What if he'd taken you somewhere?" She called the school immediately. "A known abuser confronted my son?" she kept saying. By the next day, the whole school knew. The principal sent out an email banning Eli's dad from school property. Parents shared it on Facebook, calling him a predator who lurked around children. At school, Eli looked destroyed. He sat with his head on his desk most of the day. When I tried to slip him a note saying thanks for his dad helping me, he pushed it back. "Please don't," he whispered. "You're making things worse for him." 2 weeks later, I saw Eli crying in the library. He was trying to hide it, but his shoulders were shaking. I sat down anyway. "They spray-painted Predator on his car," Eli said. "He lost his job because of it. We might lose our apartment." He wiped his eyes hard. "Everyone hates him, but they don't know anything." "What do you mean?" I asked. Eli looked around to make sure we were alone. Then he dropped the bomb. Turns out, him and his dad never hit their mom. In fact, it was the other way around. Their mom hit them. She'd throw bottles, smash pans, plates, use lighters. Eli still has a burn mark on his back from that. "Then why was your dad blamed?" I asked. That's when he broke down. He said his mom, Denise, used to threaten his dad. Said if he ever left and took Eli, she'd tell everyone he was the abuser. My face went pale. "And that's what she did," Eli said, crying. "When Dad took me, and we finally left, she took him to court and lied about everything. Then why does everyone say you're guilty?" Eli just looked at me like I was missing the obvious. "Because nobody does a Google search, man," he said. "People believe what they want to believe." Then he pulled out his phone and showed me something that changed everything. Screenshots of police reports, court documents, medical records, photos of bruises on his dad's arms, a hospital report from when his mom threw a glass bottle at his head, multiple restraining orders his dad had filed, but then withdrawn. The dates went back years. Eli scrolled through photo after photo. Each one made my stomach turn. I grabbed his phone and started taking pictures with mine. Eli tried to stop me, but I shook my head. "People need to see this." "No." He snatched his phone back. "You don't get it. She'll make it worse. She always does." The bell rang. We had to go to class. I couldn't concentrate on anything. Every time I looked at Eli hunched over his desk, I thought about those photos. About his dad sitting in his car with Predator painted on it. About how everyone, including my own mom, believed the lie. After school, Mom was waiting in the pickup line. She barely let me get in before starting. "I heard you were talking to that Eli kid in the library," she said. "What did I tell you?" "Mom, you don't understand." "No discussion. You're staying away from him." She gripped the steering wheel tighter. "His father is dangerous." The whole community knows it. But what if they're wrong? I pulled out my phone. What if I could show you? Mom slammed on the brakes at a red light and turned to me. Whatever sob story they fed you, I don't want to hear it. Abusers always claim to be victims. Always. At home, I went straight to my room and started researching. I found the court case online. Public records showed Denise had won full custody at first. But then Eli chose to live with his dad when he turned 12. That's when she filed the abuse claims. The timing seemed suspicious. I created a document on my computer, organizing everything. The photos from Eli's phone, the court timeline, the fact that Eli's dad had never been convicted. Just accused. I was deep in research when Mom appeared in my doorway. "What are you doing?" I minimized the window. "Homework." She walked over and reopened it. Her face went from confused to furious in seconds. "You took pictures of their fake evidence? Are you insane? It's not fake. Look at the dates. Look at. Delete it. Now." When I hesitated, she grabbed my phone. "I'm keeping this until you learn to make better choices. And you're grounded. No computer except for homework. And I'll be checking." The next few days were torture. At school, I tried to slip Eli notes, but teachers kept separating us. Kids started whispering when I walked by. "That's the kid who hangs out with the abuser's son," I heard someone say. I started using the library computers during lunch. The librarian, Mrs. Lane, didn't pay much attention as long as you were quiet. I dug deeper into public records. Denise had quite a history. 2 previous restraining orders from ex-boyfriends, an arrest for assault at a bar. All before she met Eli's dad. I was printing pages when someone cleared their throat behind me. Mrs. Granger, the nosiest parent volunteer, stood there with her arms crossed. "Shouldn't you be at lunch?" I grabbed the papers and stuffed them in my backpack. Just finishing homework. That afternoon, Mom was waiting in the principal's office when I got called down. Mrs. Granger sat beside her, looking smug. Principal Dale held up the printed pages. "Care to explain why you're researching restraining orders during school hours?" Mom's face was stone. "We'll discuss this at home." The car ride was silent until we pulled into our driveway. Then Mom exploded. "Mrs. Granger told me everything. You're obsessed with defending these people. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with everyone else?" I shouted. "You're destroying an innocent family because you're too stubborn to look at the evidence. Go to your room. You're not leaving this house except for school until you get your head straight." I stomped upstairs and slammed my door. Outside my window, I could see Mrs. Granger's house across the street. She was probably already texting the other moms about my concerning behavior. The next day, it was worse. Kids moved away when I sat down. My usual lunch table was suddenly full. Even teachers looked at me differently. Eli caught my eye in the hallway and mouthed, "I'm sorry." I ate lunch alone in the bathroom stall, planning my next move. Mom had taken my phone and restricted my computer access. But she couldn't stop me from using school resources. I just had to be smarter about it. Over the next week, I developed a routine. I'd volunteer to help teachers after school, then use their computers when they stepped out. I found more about Denise. She'd been fired from 3 jobs for interpersonal conflicts. Her social media, before it went private, was full of rants about ex-boyfriends who'd wronged her. Eli started leaving me notes in library books. Small updates. Dad lost another job interview when they Googled him. Landlord wants us out by end of month. Dad won't eat. Says food should go to me. Each note made me angrier. I started writing everything down in a notebook I kept hidden in my locker. Evidence, dates, connections. I was building a case. Then Mom found out about the after-school computer use. Mrs. Granger's daughter had seen me and reported back. Mom showed up at school furious. "I've had enough," she told Principal Dale. "I'm concerned about the influence this family has on my son. He's lying, sneaking around, obsessing over them." Principal Dale nodded gravely. "We've noticed changes in his behavior too. I want assurance that my son will have no contact with Eli at school. We'll do our best to monitor the situation." They moved my classes so I wouldn't see Eli. Assigned me a different lunch period. A guidance counselor started pulling me out of class for check-ins, where she'd ask how I was feeling and if I wanted to talk about my recent choices. But they couldn't stop me from thinking, from planning, from knowing that somewhere in town, Eli and his dad were suffering because everyone chose comfortable lies over the uncomfortable truth. One day, I saw Eli's dad at the grocery store. He was buying the cheapest bread and a jar of peanut butter. His clothes hung loose, like he'd lost weight. When he saw me, he quickly looked away and headed for checkout. I followed him outside. "Mr. Turner?" He stopped but didn't turn around. "You shouldn't talk to me. It'll make things worse for you." "I know the truth," Eli showed me. His shoulders sagged. "The truth doesn't matter when no one wants to hear it. I want to help." He finally turned. His eyes were red-rimmed, exhausted. "You're a good kid. But stay away from us. For your own sake." He drove off in his car, Predator, still faintly visible under a layer of cheap paint. That night, Mom came to my room with her laptop. "I want to show you something." She pulled up the parent Facebook group. Post after post about Eli's dad. Saw him lurking near the playground. He followed my daughter in the store. "Why isn't he in jail yet?" "These are lies," I said. "He's just existing. And they're making it sound criminal. 300 parents can't all be wrong." She closed the laptop. "I'm trying to protect you. This man is manipulating you through his son. You're the one being manipulated by gossip and fear." "Enough." She stood up. "I've made appointments with a therapist. Someone who specializes in kids who've been influenced by dangerous individuals." My blood ran cold. "You think I'm brainwashed? I think you're confused. And I'm going to fix this." She left me alone with my rage. They were building walls around me, trying to force me to abandon Eli and his dad. But walls had never stopped me before. Late that night, I heard Mom on the phone. "Yes, I'm very concerned. He's obsessed with proving their innocence. Taking pictures of supposed evidence. I think they've really gotten into his head." I recognized the tone. She was building her own case, making me sound unstable, obsessed, manipulated. The same playbook Denise had used against Eli's dad. I stared at my ceiling, thinking, everyone believed the story because it was easier than questioning it. Because a mother's tears in court were more compelling than a father's quiet denials. Because once the narrative was set, changing it meant admitting you'd been wrong. And nobody wanted to admit they'd helped destroy an innocent family. But I had time. I had determination. And most importantly, I had the truth. They could take my phone, restrict my computer, separate me from Eli at school. They could whisper about me, isolate me, even send me to therapy. But they couldn't change what I knew. Eli's dad was innocent. Eli was suffering. And somehow, I was going to prove it to everyone. Even if it meant becoming a pariah myself. Even if it meant fighting my own mother. Even if the whole town turned against me. Because sometimes, the truth is worth becoming the villain in everyone else's story. The next morning, I woke up with a plan. It was risky. Probably stupid. And would definitely get me in more trouble. But Eli's latest note had said they had 2 weeks before eviction. 2 weeks to change everything. 2 weeks to expose Denise's lies. 2 weeks to save my friend's family. I got dressed for school, kissed Mom goodbye like nothing was wrong, and mentally prepared for war. They thought they'd broken me with isolation and therapy threats. They had no idea what I was capable of when I knew I was right. I didn't go to first period. Instead, I walked straight to the library, heart hammering like it was trying to escape my chest. The school day had just begun, the halls still buzzing with backpacks and bad coffee breath, but I moved like a ghost, quiet, unseen. Mrs. Lane was at her desk, sipping tea and scrolling through a romance novel on her tablet. She barely looked up as I slipped into the back row, pulled out my hidden notebook, and opened the laptop I borrowed under a fake assignment slip yesterday. This was it. No more sneaking. No more waiting. No more letting lies pile up like bricks in a wall I couldn't climb. I logged into the school's public access portal, the one teachers used for printing permission slips and uploading assignments. I'd noticed something last week. If you stayed logged in long enough, the system didn't auto-log out during class hours. And if you knew the right folder paths, You could upload files directly to the shared drive. Files that every teacher, student, and staff member could access. I plugged in my flash drive, the one I'd smuggled out of Mom's office last night after she fell asleep. I'd copied everything onto it, the court records, the police reports, the medical files Eli had shown me, the timeline I'd built, even screenshots of Denise's old social media rants. I'd spent the past month compiling this, organizing it, verifying dates, cross-referencing names. I even included a short video I'd recorded on my phone, Eli's voice, trembling but clear, telling his story in his own words, with his face blurred, his voice altered, for safety. I titled the folder, "The Truth About Eli Turner and His Father, Read This." Then I uploaded it to the school's main shared directory. Not hidden, not buried, right at the top. I added a note in bold. "This isn't about sides. It's about facts. Look at the evidence. Then ask yourself, why did we believe the lie?" I closed the laptop, wiped the browser history, and walked out like I hadn't just dropped a bomb. By third period, the whispers started. I saw it in the way kids glanced at me in the hallway. How teachers paused mid-sentence when I entered the classroom. A few pulled out their phones, eyes widening as they scrolled. At lunch, the library was packed, not with students doing homework, but with people huddled around computers, reading. Mrs. Lane called me in. "You uploaded this?" she asked, voice low. I didn't answer. Just looked her in the eye. She exhaled slowly. "You know what this could do?" "I hope it does exactly what it's supposed to." She stared at me for a long moment. Then, quietly, she said, "I always thought something wasn't right. I saw Mr. Turner helping Mrs. Hollis carry boxes last year. He stayed late to fix the library shelves. And then, all of a sudden, he was a monster?" She shook her head. "People don't want to believe the woman could be the abuser. They want the story to be simple." "It's not," I said. "But it is true." She didn't report me. By the end of the day, the folder had been downloaded over 300 times. Someone printed it out and taped it to the bathroom stall in the boys' restroom. Another posted it to the school's anonymous confessions page. Then it spread beyond the school. A teacher shared it with her husband, who worked at the local newspaper. By evening, a reporter named Diane Reyes called the school, asking for comment. Principal Dale called an emergency meeting. And Mom? She was waiting for me when I got home, her face pale with fury. "What did you do?" she hissed the second I stepped through the door. "I told the truth. You put that file on the school server? With photos? With Eli's voice? What were you thinking?" "I was thinking that two innocent people are about to be homeless because everyone decided to believe a liar. You could be expelled. And that boy, Eli, did you even ask him if he wanted this?" I froze. I hadn't. I'd been so focused on justice, on proof, on winning, I hadn't considered what it would feel like for Eli to have his pain exposed, even if it was to save him. I thought I was helping," I said, voice cracking. Mom sank into the couch, suddenly looking older. "You wanted to do the right thing. But sometimes, the right thing still hurts people." She handed me my phone. She'd had it this whole time. "There's a message from Eli." My hand shook as I unlocked it. "I saw what you did." I didn't say yes. "But thank you." My dad cried when he read it. For the first time in months, someone believed him. The landlord called. Said we can stay. A reporter wants to talk to us. I'm scared. But I'm not ashamed anymore. I read it over and over. Then I looked up at Mom. Was I wrong? She didn't answer right away. Finally, she said, "You were reckless. You broke rules. You put yourself at risk." She paused. "But..." I looked at the files. I read the police reports. I saw the hospital records. Her voice dropped. "I was wrong too. I believed the story because it was easy. Because I wanted to protect you. But I protected the lie instead of the truth." She reached out and took my hand. "I'm sorry." That night, something shifted. The Facebook group didn't collapse, but it fractured. Posts defending Eli's dad started appearing. Parents who'd once called him a predator now asked questions. One woman admitted she'd seen Denise screaming at her son in the grocery store years ago. Another recalled her ex-husband mentioning a restraining order filed against her. The newspaper ran a front-page story. The boy who told the truth, how one student exposed a web of lies. They didn't name me directly, but everyone knew. Some called me brave. Others said I'd gone too far. That I'd violated privacy. That I'd turned a private family tragedy into a public spectacle. They weren't entirely wrong. But 2 days later, Eli found me at my locker. He didn't say anything at first. Just stood there, eyes red, shoulders less hunched than they'd been in months. Then he pulled me into a hug. "I don't know how to thank you," he whispered. "You don't have to," I said. "You were my first real friend. I wasn't gonna let them destroy you." He pulled back, smiling for the first time since I'd met him. "You know what my dad said this morning?" He said, "Maybe the world isn't as broken as I thought." I nodded. "Maybe it's not." But the fight wasn't over. Denise filed a complaint against the school, claiming defamation. The district launched an investigation. I was suspended for 2 days for misuse of school resources, they said, though they never expelled me. And Mom? She kept her promise. I started seeing the therapist. But not because she thought I was brainwashed. Because she was. And she wanted to learn how to stop believing lies just because they were comfortable. Years passed. Claire got married to Jason 6 months after the divorce. I heard they moved to another state. I didn't care. I kept my house. Kept Rusty. Fixed the swing set when the chains rusted. And every now and then, I think about Eli. We lost touch after high school, but I looked him up once. He's studying psychology at a university 3 states away. His bio says, survivor of false abuse allegations. Advocate for truth in family court. I smiled when I read that. Because I know now, truth doesn't always win. But sometimes, if one person refuses to stay silent, it gets a chance. And that's enough. Because I wasn't always alone. And now I'm not. Because the people who matter, the ones who've been buried under lies, the ones who fought to be seen, they find each other. And when they do, the world starts to shift. One truth at a time.